turbine. And the way that works is we buy electricity for 10 years at 2p cheaper per kilowatt. Obviously wind turbines are great because they're renewable energy. You sell the excess back to the national grid, and there's the green power token and carbon levy thing. That's in the planning stage at the minute, but it's definitely moving ahead. We also look to recycle as much as we possibly can. Excuse me. We produce about 7 tonnes of product a week, half a tonne of which is waste owing to the nature of the process. It's a half-tonne process, and not every crisp that comes up for it is perfect to go in bags. Therefore, we generate this waste. And that currently goes to local farmers for cows. They love the stuff and it's highly nutritious for them. There's also the peelings from the potatoes and the other root vegetables, which goes for composting. Film, we only produce probably 25 to 30 kilos of film waste a week, and that currently is unrecyclable. But we're majorly looking into, as soon as there's a commercially viable, recyclable film, we're kind of top of the list. But that currently goes for incineration, so it doesn't go to landfill. And our waste oil goes to a biofuel company, and they process it, do whatever they do to it, and they sell it back to us as biofuel for use in our company vehicles. Also, we try and make our supply chain sort of environmentally friendly, so all our raw materials, our main raw materials, obviously the potatoes and the root vegetables, come from LEAF accredited farmers, which stands for Linking the Environment and Farming, and it's basically farming in an environmentally sustainable way, and that's the initiatives we're looking at.
Thanks very much, Becky. I'd now like to kind of begin the discussion amongst the panel members by broaching the question of investment and how you actually get it. It's often a challenge internally to make the case in order to free up the investment necessary to achieve the climate change response ambitions that you may have. So I'd like each of the panelists to talk for a couple of minutes about either the ease or difficulty of making the case for investment, how they've gone about getting and convincing top management that investment is necessary, and what kind of periods of return have been required of them in making the case for that investment. Can I start with you once again, Richard?
You can. Question bottom. I'll save some power. I didn't use it. Because I think investment can make us all very practical in deciding that things don't pay back. And there's an awful lot we can all do without making any investments at all. Firstly, if you look at your procurement budgets. So I have a procurement budget of just short of 1.7 billion this year, which provides you with an awful lot of leverage to do some things. And you're requiring your supply base to make some investment. You're requiring your supply base to look at their operation. We procure 175 million sheets of photocopy and printed paper a year for our business. We switched that from virgin paper to 80% recycled paper. It took no penny on my part at all. I saved £50,000 a year on the procurement of that paper, and the energy involved and the water involved in manufacture of that paper is considerably less, to say nothing of the 100,000 trees that didn't get chopped down to produce the paper in the first place. So from Marks and Spencer's point of view, that wasn't an investment decision, that was a savings decision, and it made a very significant difference to the footprint somewhere in our supply chain. The second is around investment in design and intellectual capital, if you like. You'll all know what Marks and Spencer food section looks like. You probably don't know that the fridge cases have a delicate curve on the end. and I'm actually the head of store design as well, so I can be rude about my design team. It's got this beautiful delicate curve, which apparently is an intrinsic part of the design, footprint and handwriting of our food sections. Open brackets, something about that cow stuff comes to mind again. So, do we need the curve on the end of our food sections? Not sure about that. You ring my retail colleagues and say, these curvy bits on the end of our food sections, do we need them? No, they're crap. The boxes are all square. You can't fill up the fridges properly. Right. So I'm happy to be standing in the manufacturer, and downstairs is the production line producing nice square fridges, and they're coming off like bump, 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 and we go upstairs, and there's some chaps in leather aprons wearing monocles going like this. What do? They're making the curved ones. So guess what? The curved ones cost about half as much again to manufacture. We don't want that more, so we'll have nice square ones. 2 weeks later, I'm told that the shape now allows us to put standard compressor units underneath, which are again cheaper to manufacture, and also allow us to raise the evaporation temperature of the whole case by 2 degrees, which improves the operational efficiency of the food section by about 14%. Now, after lighting, refrigeration is the biggest bill of the Martin Spencer. Therefore, simple design change to something we've always done, to the benefit of our retail operation, to the benefit of my budget in terms of the cost of manufacture, has delivered a 14% reduction in the energy usage of the new food section when we installed it. Didn't require us to rewrite the capital evaluation rules to enable us to deliver that. So there are a host of examples where I would just encourage one, procurement practices, and two, design of your own operation or the things that you do and looking at them in a slightly different way. The third, when it does come to investment, then yes, there are some big decisions to make. The normal rules apply, as Chris said, around the evaluation of capital investment. But all capital investment is based on a certain series of assumptions, and I suspect all businesses have different assumptions that they apply to their capital investment policies. Tweak those assumptions and you'll get something different. Leave those assumptions the same, you'll get what you've always got. Therefore, you have to do something to your carbon, to your capital criteria in order to get something different. You cannot change what you've got if you continue to assume the same as we've had in the past. Therefore, it's about an assumption on regulation. It's about an assumption on the cost of carbon or the cost of that regulation going forward that will change the criteria. There is also something about belief. And a very big portion of what we're doing is based on belief. We believe that the commercial environment in which we operate is changing. Therefore, that has to be part of the criteria in which we will invest up front. And that's very easy to do at the R&D and the research stage, because you're not committing to 800 or even turbines at £3.5 million each. You're only committing to your first exploration of what that investment is going to give you in the long term.
Thanks very much, Richard. To Jason.
What are we doing? Well, as I said, there's the OSA direct and indirect areas of investment. We're also looking at procurement, the whole procurement change, which is exactly the same as you were doing in recycled paper. Also the issues around IT, around recycled paper across the world, and reducing the number of automating how we can put on a printer. And so the industry average is around 120, so we don't have that in a lot of our companies. Then also around the services area, around obviously the travel and travel, we do something about responsible travel. Because all of our business is in abroad, away from the UK, we're looking very seriously at reducing the amount of travel within our organisation, have been for a couple of years. But also, it's about educating staff, not only saying we'll reduce your budget by 10%, which obviously everybody's saying, okay, fine. It's about educating them to travel responsibly and saying, don't go to Singapore for a meeting, just for 1 hour. Can you actually, make that a 2-week trip? Can you actually justify that to your senior management team? And that's one thing we've been really pushing, saying, talking about responsible travel and trying to persuade people to